Here are the solutions to Algebra 2 Classwork June 2nd on standard deviation and normal distribution. Question 1 shows the heights in inches of players on the opening night roster of the 2015-16 New York Knicks. And what we're going to do with all these scores is enter them into our calculator. We're going to go to the Stat menu, Edit, and into List 1 we're going to enter all those scores. Okay, after doing that, we're going to go to Stat Calc, 1var Stats, and choose List 1. And we can find the mean using the X with the bar on top. So that would be 79. I'll round it to the nearest tenth, 79.7. And that would be inches. Explain what this mean represents. So that would be your average player's height. The standard deviation would be right above, n is 13 is the number of values. The standard deviation is this symbol right above it. So that would be 3.5 if we rounded to the nearest tenth. And we can take that value and square to get the variance, which is going to come out to be 12.25, which I will round to the nearest tenth to be 12.3, and these are all in inches. Number 2, the students in Mrs. L's class, 4th and 6th period algebra class, took the same test. Here are the results. And so that first column would be the mean, this would be the standard deviation, this would be the number of students taking the exam in each class, the minimum score, the quartile 1 score, the median score, the quartile 3 score, and the max score. We're asked which of those sections would have the largest spread of test scores. We could recall how we could either use range or standard deviation. The standard deviation of 4th period is greater than the 6th period, so I'm expecting that one to have more spread. So we could say, since 4th period has a larger standard deviation than 6th period, the 4th period class has a larger spread of test scores. And we also could look at the range of each of those periods, and we could do that by taking the max minus the min. In period 4, the max is 96 minus the min is 58. 96 minus 58 would be 38 is the range there. And for period 6, the highest is 96 and the lowest is 59. 96 minus 59 would have a range of 37. And since 4th period has a higher range, that's also more spread out data. So you could either use either justification for that particular question. Question 3 is going to go into this normal distribution chart. On a standardized test, Kathy has a score of 74, which is 1 standard deviation below the mean. So that would be right here. Right here is 1 below the mean. The mean is here and it's 1 below the mean. So if 74 is here, and they tell us that each standard deviation is 6 units. So if I was to take that score, that is 1 standard deviation below the mean, is a score of 74, and add on that 1 standard deviation, I can get a mean of 80. So the mean would be 80. Question 4, on a standardized exam, Laura received a score of 85, which was 2 standard deviations above the mean. They tell us that each standard deviation represents 4 units. So let's look at where 2 standard deviations above the mean would be. Right here would be the mean. I'm going to use a different color. I'll use red. So right here is your mean. And we're looking at 2 standard deviations above the mean. Laura's score is right here at 2 standard deviations above the mean, and they told us that her score was 85. So if we were to take off 1 standard deviation, that would be 85 minus 4 was 81. And then we would have to take off another to get to the mean. 81 minus 4, since that's the standard deviation, would be a 77. So essentially we knew that Laura's score was 2 standard deviations above the mean. We knew her score was 85, so we had to take off 2 standard deviations. So that's 4 times 2, which is 8. And 85 minus 8 would be a 77. That would be the mean.